Good morning, Vietnam.
Oh, I should start with that.
Too late. I already did.
Anyways, welcome to the Brookside Chats. I will be your host for this episode. I am Pojo. Thank you for coming out. I am joined by two lovely co-hosts.
Taco.
And temporary co-host, Brooklyn.
Anyways, our topics today will be in my special field of crime, weird criminal organizations, and etc. I hope you enjoy.
I'm excited for the etc.
There's a philosophy that one of the ancient Chinese philosophers had that was I think it was legalism or something like that, where basically they believe that if it wasn't for the society that we have today, what?
I'm already recording your microphone is on your cheek.
Oh, I didn't realize that you were recording.
I'm kind of
Yeah.
wondering why you're putting your microphone on your
I'm literally
beard.
recording and you're rubbing it on your beard
I'm like, what's going on here?
Well, this is a bunch of editing.
You just said that you're making my life harder, man. Come on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So what about legalism?
So legalism is this philosophy from China where basically if it wasn't for the government and society, this would be just a lawless, and people, all this crime would be just rampant throughout all in all.
Well, technically there would be no crime because without a government or any hierarchical structure to say, oh, don't do this, or some power to set rules, then there would be no rules outside of the rule.
But then what about a structure, say organized religion, where religion still has certain rules, thou shalt not kill.
Well, I mean that's
That's a rule, but I think
that
it's
so laws and rules are essentially the same thing. It's just for different types of organizations, I guess. So in Christianity, those aren't considered laws.
you get punished other than eternal damnation.
It is the commandments, though.
But essentially, they act as the same thing. As in, don't do this. And for law, it's the same thing of don't steal, don't.
I think we just had that moral, ethical, dilemma, and we've just been kind of consistent and keep, hey, killing is bad, and we just, as a society, just,
Oh, you want to bring ethics into this, bud? So, first off, laws are based off ethics. Yes, I will agree to that. However, ethics are based off culture. So, here's my question. Is it ethical to enforce, let's say, the ethics in the United States for India? Because in that of itself, one could argue that that's unethical, meaning that the laws in America are unethical.
Just like calling colonialism, where we try to spread Christianity on the indigenous people and our way of lives and thinkings and all that.
Yeah.
We view that as unethical now, but back then they thought they were righteous in doing so.
Yeah.
So it's a fine line between rules and laws and ethics and morals, because ethics and morals are also a different thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even not all laws are based on ethics, too. Ethically, what's wrong with jaywalking?
Right. Besides, potentially getting hit by a car.
But I mean,
delays, I guess.
but
there's also laws that are based on organization and society.
yeah,
Infrastructure.
or paying taxes. If I don't pay my taxes, I'm not ethically doing anything wrong. I'm just not contributing to a society I don't believe in. Now, I want to say this. I do believe that we should pay taxes. I'm not an anarchist. I do very much see the value in taxes, but if someone did...
Viewers, I believe we need to have the IRS investigate Pojo's tax returns.
No, what tax returns? I already told you I don't pay taxes. But more or less the point is that laws don't mean ethical. Ethics? Not all laws are ethical. There we go.
There's some laws that are messed up, but for the most part, it's what we perceive as the betterment for society, like the greater good.
I mean, like, what was it? Like, the 1800s, the Fugitive Slave Act was a big contribution, or the Fugitive Slave Act was one of the most, like, kind of heinous, like, laws to be, you know, enforced. And I mean, back then, you know, they didn't think that was any, like anything wrong with that ethically as well.
Well, I mean, that's just the times, though. Ethics change.
Mm-hmm.
Much like how back then people thought it was okay to own other people.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's,
Wrong.
at least in America, that is considered heinously wrong.
It's actually, it's still crazy how much slavery there is out
There
in
are.
the world. A lot. Crazy. But anyways, yeah, it's like, I think this also like goes to an important point. Like within the Supreme Court, you have the originalists, and you have the progressives, I guess you can call them. You know, the originalists believe the Constitution was written as it is, and it should be interpreted that way. Where the progressives feel the Constitution is a living document and it should be adapted to society now. I think that I'm in the camp of the progressives. I think the Constitution and the laws should be adapted to the society that it's in. One of the points that there's two justices that I was listening to talk about this. Breyer and the one that passed away a while back.
Oh, I was.
No, not
Wasn't
Alito.
it it was the first black justice, wasn't it?
No, it was Breyer and Scalia. So Breyer is a progressive and Scalia is an originalist.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the topics that they're talking about was cars. You know, cars did not exist back then.
Yeah.
So how do we adapt it to now, or interstate commerce laws? You know, with the internet and whatnot. Also, well, I mean, you get the point. Like, when the Constitution was written back then, you didn't take these things into account. So now, 100, 200 years later, you have to take it into account, and some of these things are already written into the Constitution to adapt to a more modern society.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and a point to really reinforce that, if we didn't, you know, adapt with society, crime gangs like the mafia, etc., they would be still a huge thing. Because at that time, the FBI, FBI, words. Federal Bureau of Investigation did not exist, and they wouldn't have the power to crack down on such organizations. Now they do, and now they're less prominent. It's clear that, I mean, as a society, as a people, in general, you need to adapt to survive.
And sometimes, a lot of the crimes that come about are unforeseeable sometimes. I guess with the internet, another interesting topic was internet law, and how that's just changing so fast now. And we're poorly prepared. A lot of that, the hacking and neutrality, copyright.
Too, I think.
I don't even know, but like we're poorly adapted right now to address those issues. Sure. So, and especially with Congress right now and how divided they are, I don't think.
Oh my goodness!
But anyway, that's for another episode.
Well, no. Here's the thing. I'm gonna say this now. America's going down really quick because we are so polarized. Like, how you run a government isn't by saying, "Oh, I only want my way," or "You can go screw off."
Well,
it's about compromise.
The other thing too I've seen that's interesting is just like, you know, I hear people shout law and order, or like for the party of law and order, and it's like they don't follow their own set of laws and order. It's like you just want it to be punished for, like, you know, your opponents. And the deal about the law is like it's meant for like everybody to like follow. Not
And that's with... I'm going to put an asterisk on this because I don't... There might be an exception. That's most people of power.
That's,
they're
that's
not,
most governments.
That's how you get into power. It's not by
So
playing
you
by the
hold on
rules.
to power also.
Yeah. Well, once you're in power, you just change the rules.
Yeah.
Well, for the most part. Well, anyways, they're not going to hold themselves to the standards that they hold their enemies because it's easier to point to someone and say, "Oh, you're wrong," not point to yourself and say, "You know what? I'm wrong." There's an idea that is you need to follow the spirit of the law, not the letter of the law. Which, so for example, when a police has the power of discretion, as in will they or will they not actually arrest you for whatever. To some extent, I feel like that's how the Constitution should be treated. However, I see the law. So like, in certain cases, a police officer can, like, okay, let's say you're caught speeding. The officer has the discretion to not give you a ticket. No, I'm a good boy who would never speed.
Yeah.
But
especially down like I-80, you know.
They have the discretion to give you a ticket or just give you a warning. And that's what I feel like how the Constitution should be treated, where in some cases people can follow the letter of the law and give the ticket or just simply ignore it in special cases. However, with that said, I don't think that there's anyone in America right now that's neutral enough to actually do it, because that would be a high position if it was a position.
Oh no.
And for sure, corruption would worm its way in.
Well, that's our human fault.
Good old lobbyists.
So
oh my god.
bias is built into us. Lobbyists is
Mm.
another topic.
Oh gosh. Well, this is a hill I'm gonna die on. I hate lobbyists so much.
They are the scum of the earth.
And like, even if it's a good topic, lobbyists don't always choose the best way to actually get it through. Like, it's annoying. It's very annoying, especially when there's
Because they don't
money
allow
involved.
Anything to happen in DC. Like,
Oh, yeah.
any good legislation will die if lobbyists get enough people and there are enough paychecks in there for
Oh yeah.
to kill it. I mean, yeah, no, that's disgusting. But going back to
Yeah.
neutrality
yeah.
with the Constitution, that's just not going to happen. It's human nature to be flawed in
Oh
that
yeah,
manner.
for sure.
And I mean, you see it in the Supreme Court all the time. 'Cause they are the ones that uphold the Constitution.
Yeah.
And
Wait.
they're the final say with any constitutional
Okay, yeah,
matter.
yeah. I was gonna say that would be the president that upholds it.
No.
He-
it's more
Court
to
decisions,
protect-
I feel like.
It's more
good.
to protect it, but like the final
So-
say goes to the Supreme Court.
So yeah, they interpret it.
Yes. But with
What
that,
I'm
it's
saying is,
subjective.
once interpreted, the president has to enforce it. You know what I mean? So like police, FBI, whatnot. That would
Well,
be
yes.
under the executive branch.
Yes. The president assigns the head of the FBI,
Yeah, yeah.
CIA, all that stuff.
Anyways,
It has to be enforced by
Yeah.
Congress and the president. Yeah.
they're
Like,
the
other
muscle.
branches,
They're
other
essentially the muscle.
They work together.
Muscle, sorry.
Checks and balances.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So here's a question. There's an idea, I believe they call it a... So it's essentially someone who is so perfect, or the closest to perfect, that laws don't apply to them. I believe they called a necro Superman.
Oh, never heard of that.
It's a weird name for that.
I know, it's weird. And I might be saying it wrong.
I mean, the dead.
But-
I guess the dead can't
Brain boss.
can't like really kill anyone if they're already dead, or
Oh my
I don't know,
goodness.
can't like
Okay,
go
what-
past 90.
Okay, since you're gonna hassle me on this, I'm gonna actually look this up. Thanks, guys.
Oh
You
wow.
want to get the facts right.
Oh wow. You know, us actually making you do some research.
Yeah, how dare you?
Oh man, we're such terrible people, aren't we?
But you understand the general idea of it, right?
I guess. Because when you say that they're so perfect that the law does not apply to them, is that an actual thing or is that like an idea? Like
That's an idea.
an idea. Because the law applies to everyone, regardless of how perfect they are.
Yeah.
Now, you'll have those people out there, and I'm pretty sure you've heard of them, Citizens of the World.
Yes, I have. Apparently, police departments actually now have special training against that. Because they're just that much of a problem.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wonder why.
Huh. No, I don't want Superman.
Kind of reminds me of like Megamind. Like, thank you, fellow citizen.
Well, I can't think of the term, but essentially it means that someone's so perfect that they are above the law. Do you think someone like that exists?
Heck no. Well, what about you?
No.
Okay. So, what about... Oh, I'm trying to think of an example
Do
here.
I think there's people that go their entire life without getting in trouble?
Oh, for sure.
No. I think there's entire people that go through their life, you know, a lot of people that go through their life without being caught. There's a difference. You can get in trouble, but never be caught. Or you can be, I guess, not get in trouble, because if you get in trouble, you're caught. You can do a crime, commit a crime. We talked about, like, different levels of crime.
Yes.
You can commit a crime and not get caught.
Yes.
And if you don't get caught, it never happened, but it did happen.
Well,
But not in the eyes of the law.
actually, I will challenge that. You can get caught. And since the basis, the foundation, the cornerstone of our judicial system is innocent till proven guilty,
Right.
even if you're caught, if the court says, oh, you're innocent,
Lack of
then,
evidence.
yeah, then it doesn't
Good point.
count, I guess.
Like you did it. Like you kicked a puppy,
Allegedly.
allegedly, but no one saw you. Or someone messed up the evidence.
There's a big
So
footprint
never-
on said puppy,
It
but
could be anyone's.
and you.
Fits.
Mm.
All right, let's go.
So, with that, I kind of want to move on to. We've been focusing majority on local crime. And you were mentioning ethics earlier, Taco. How ethical, because I think, and I believe we were all in agreement that one country with different culture, ethics, etc. should not dictate the laws for another country with different culture and whatnot.
Right.
So how ethical is the UN?
Are they really enforcing any of their laws? Not
Hey
really.
guys, don't do genocide, please, or we'll sanction
Okay,
you.
actually, I'm
Tell
sorry.
that to
Let-
Rwanda. Like, how did that work out for the UN?
Or
They did
Bosnia,
nothing there.
Darfur,
let
Sudan.
Let me rephrase that. The UN's kind of
Useless. We talked
You-
about this.
yes,
already.
they're not really that good.
Right.
Simply because I believe they only act in a suggestion-based authority.
Well, they really have no
And maybe
power
sanctions.
over an autonomous country.
Do you think that a world, not government, like a world organization could come together to actually enforce rules? So, like for instance, World War II doesn't happen again because, what was it, the League of Nations at the time
Yeah.
just kind of let Germany do whatever it wants?
Well, there was like the deterrence of if you attack one of us, we attack all of you.
Well, that's just a stupid idea. Okay.
So
Nuclear deterrence does not work.
Well, that was separate because with the League of Nations, if I remember correctly, it was, you know, the partner countries in Europe and the US and Canada. If you attack, you know, France and Germany, Britain,
Yeah.
US, and they come in and attack you attack one of us, you know, attack all of us. Now, nuclear deterrence came in a little later, if I recall.
Yeah, no.
With Russia.
And I'm talking for nuclear deterrence. That's just during the Cold War. But
I have a different idea on that, though. But yeah.
I feel like just deterrence in general doesn't work. Clearly, because World War II happened.
But nuclear weapons weren't around before World War II.
Yeah, no. And I only said nuclear deterrence because that's the closest thing that we have to really deterrence that I can think of, or at least it's the most popular one that I can think of right now.
Well, the deadliest one we have right now.
Well, yes, but in general, deterrence, and I can say this with confidence, doesn't really work.
What do you think, Brooke?
Shoot, there's so many topics.
I want to see what you think about that.
Shit, what was the question again?
Does deterrence work? So, like, simply having a treaty with a different country being like, oh, if you're attacked, I'm going to attack whoever attacked you. Kind of like what they had during the League of Nations between most of Europe and
America, if you look at
or North America,
the beginning of like early World War I, that's with all the secret alliances. That's what kind of started the First World War. With the League of Nations itself, the problem with that particular organization is that the voting body and the voting power is basically like this. If one country doesn't agree with like a certain country being attacked, basically that vote can get vetoed. So like, for instance, it was like
kind of like how it is now, except with what was it?
Well, you had
France,
the five
America, China, Russia,
UK,
and UK.
Yeah, just the Power Five that really kind of make the decisions because they're all like relevant.
Yeah, but if one says no, then the vote fails.
Hence, what happened with Sudan, with the Darfur region was China was the one that was kind of like not allowing like any UN intervention for that particular region. I mean, I think it's a temporary band-aid solution, but the thing is like with like alliances is that like you can always bring out and like draw out more alliances. I think like with the US, what's really significant about the US is that we have alliances with like the top like 25 most powerful militaries. People don't directly want to mess with us, and I mean,
well, that's because they're probably more powerful than the top 25.
Well, military spending and all that too.
Well, yeah, for sure.
But again, it really just depends on the situation. I don't think like it's gonna be like a cure-all solution, but I do think it's gonna be a solution that could like it's just a temporary band-aid.
Short run.
Yeah.
Relatively, speaking about time, and I do think that deterrence. I have a different idea. I think that deterrence does work, and I will agree with Greg. It works only in the short or temporarily. Well, if you think about like what deterrence really is to keep you from doing something that you would do otherwise if there wasn't any consequences, right? Laws are deterrence.
Yep.
In school, getting detention is a deterrence for you not.
Price is a deterrence too, economically.
So our whole society functions on having a deterrence set on people. So I do think that deterrences work. They're not like fix-all, but I don't think there's really a fix-all for anything. But
not yet.
I think there is, and whether it's a League of Nations or a nuclear deterrence or a little slap on the wrist or
if you steal a candy bar, we're gonna nuke your house.
But I think that's probably the best weapon we have against that at the moment.
Okay. So let's move back to local. So here's a question for both of you. Why, and this is a subjective question, there's no objective answer here. Why do people commit crime? And I'm not talking jaywalking, speeding, or whatever. I'm talking more serious crimes, at least felony or higher, in America.
think you can probably blanket this over to the world, like, why do people in general do this? Because there's still murder in other countries, not just America.
Yeah.
Although their judicial systems are different. But why do people commit crimes? That's a hard question, I feel like.
Oh yeah, no,
I
and
try to understand why people do some of the stuff they do, especially on the more horrendous crimes that people commit. I don't know. I feel like there's a switch inside everyone, and some people, they just get that switch turned on and they go crazy.
Well, I would say it depends on like what they're like doing, because like I mean, if you're robbing people, obviously you're probably really really poor and you're trying to make money and get rich quick scheme. But I mean,
It's not
which
an excuse.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm just saying like
most crimes aren't. You really don't have an excuse, and I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, I understand. But at the same time, like, yeah, people have their own perspective with, like, you know, how they live their life. And, I mean, I feel like they have to kind of, like, go, you know, do different things to kind of, like, you know, either elevate themselves to a higher status, either to, like, provoke or, like, get, like, you know, a reaction or a political position pushed, or I guess just like getting like some type of a revenge act or something like that, or just trying to get a better, higher status.
And I'm not going to say those are wrong, but in my point of view, I think for the most part, it can mostly be summed up to the government, the environment, society, etc., has failed to provide an outlet for these people.
I would disagree with that.
Well, no, and let me just hold your horses. Yes. Let me explain real quick.
Please do.
Now, let's say, because Brooke, you did mention that political crimes to get a leg up in the world. In that case, I feel like society, irregardless of what other people see as fair or not fair, they think that they should have more in this world, whether political power, money, etc.
Free.
And at that point, the government, quote unquote, has failed them, or at least in their eyes, because for how a government works is people give up power in order to have safety, health, etc. And those people, in my mind, I feel like they feel the government has failed and they're taking the power in their minds back in their own hands. Now, of course, there are exceptions to that rule, like Columbine, where I won't say that's an exception, because I think that mentally they weren't taken care of as they should be. Not saying that they were pushed. They were pushed into it, and they didn't have the mental health necessary to handle it. If that makes sense.
I'm not too familiar with that. I've heard of Columbine for many years. I'm not too familiar with that case, so I won't speak too much on it. But with a lot of similar cases of school shootings, there's always like signs. You know, like what was the one in Florida?
The Parkland
shooting.
Yeah.
There are signs for that one.
Yeah.
And so many others.
And
the school administrators, parents fail to see those signs.
Yeah.
Or take any action on them. So there is.
Yeah, and for sure, because I mean, there's a level that the government can infringe on our privacy to actually prevent stuff like that. That's why having total government control would most likely stop that, but you would most
People
likely
wouldn't like that.
Exactly. It's a very delicate balance of what can the government do to keep us safe, and how much are we willing to give up to feel safe.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So that makes more sense. I was gonna say I disagreed with the government failing, because at some point I feel like people also just don't take accountability for their own actions.
And by no means am I saying the government should provide all this.
The
well,
government should provide the
at
most
least
basic.
for getting the leg up. I don't. If you're already well off, I think that, you know, there are limits.
Yeah.
Like
safety.
Yeah.
Education.
All that, but that's a different topic.
Yeah.
But with that said, so keeping in mind your answers of why people commit crimes, let's take that a step further. Why do people join criminal organizations? So, for instance, why would someone join a gang, the mafia, the yakuza, etc.? Just name a few.
I kind of revert back to my similar answer of like getting a leg up, or just kind of like that power, that status, that like anything to help them out go through, like, you know, being in a better position. Because I mean, most people, I'm assuming like most prisoners join prisoners gangs because what, security?
Yeah.
From like other inmates.
Yeah.
Well, I think people would join, like, you know, outside like non-prison related like or criminal organizations, just for like, yeah, like getting that leg up, or having those better connections, or just like maybe because they don't have like the resources for like, you know, the proper paths to like, you know, making legit money or stuff like that.
Okay. How about you, Taco?
I think that from what I've heard and seen, is that people join gangs based on if their family is already in it, like a sibling or friend, but also to feel a sense of community within there that they lack, or family that they lack at home, or structure.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but it happens.
So here's my question, and maybe this will change. What if someone doesn't know that they're actually joining a gang? What if they're like, well,
how do you not just you're joining a gang?
It's like a normal organization. What if, like, joining this quote-unquote gang is just hanging out with these people that, you know, you like to hang out with? Maybe saying joining a group officially makes it sound like there's a ritual to join. I'm talking like just hanging out, and sometimes they do this.
No. I think a better question is, why do people... So there's different levels of crime. You got the serious crimes, and then you got the weird and absurd crimes.
Yeah.
Like, why do people do those also? Which I have probably the same answer as what people do the other more serious crimes. But I think, like, on the lighter note...
I'm talking on the lighter note.
Yeah, on the lighter note, for the sake of the podcast, although we've delved into some heavier topics, but to end it off, like, on a lighter note, let's explore some other ones.
I guess there's Pojo, which is this like biker gangs in Japan, and they have these like these weird flamboyant like styles, as in like, yeah, go ahead, take a second.
What's it called?
Pojo.
Well, while you're Googling that,
they have some like exhausts that are like literally like 6 feet high, and like
that's legendary though.
Like,
I would do that.
Oh, that one has like a narwhal horn.
Wait, what? No, show me. So, here's, and why I say they unknowingly join. For instance, like, who here knows what an avocado is? The answer is probably both of you.
what is that?
90% of avocados in America are from the cartel. At least in America. Because the cartels, you know, they own the farms that the avocados are grown in Mexico. And since we don't really produce enough avocados to fill our needs, especially after this recent health kick that we had, or
avocado toast.
Yeah, whatever that is. 90% of that's from the cartels. Enjoy your drug toast.
Or like the maple syrup mafia,
Oh
where they like, well, this one's interesting because
No,
it's
I'm not saying it's not interesting. It's just, it's
I
kind
forget
of wacky too.
It's mainly like a smuggling operation, all in all, and it's to kind of like fight this one corporation, and because they're like a monopoly, they have like some type of monopoly for
all the maple syrup out of Canada. So there's just these like local farmers that kind of like are in this mafia just to kind of like get back at like the bigger fish. So.
But do they break knees? Do they break skulls?
Well, I mean,
they burn trees.
They burn
so
wait, that does
actually,
not make any sense.
No. I don't know.
That reminds me. So where is it? It is in this belt between Mexico and Colombia.
It's called Central America.
Well, shush.
You freaking uneducated fuck.
These countries are essentially run by banana companies, like Dole,
Chiquita.
There's
United
that one,
Fruit Company.
and there's another one. And I mean, ethically, I think that's completely wrong because.
Oh, yeah.
You learn the history of what Chiquita did under a different.
Oh yeah, no.
United Fruit Company.
United Fruit Company, Banana Republic. Have you heard of that? That's where that came from.
They literally went to the U.S. president and said, and this was during the Red Scare, where they said one of these countries they're acting a lot like communists, and the president's response then was to literally topple the government, set up a puppet state that is essentially ran by these fruit companies, which technically, in all senses, is legal. Ethically, I would say it's.
Is it legal?
It technically is.
I don't know if it's legal. I'll agree, it's not ethical at all. But man, okay.
If ethics were laws here.
I think that's another interesting podcast topic for another time. But
banana.
You're gonna spoil it.
What they did in Central America and South America during that period of time is absolutely
for sure
horrendous, and well, there's no consequences that they face on with that. But going back to the weird topics, I would hardly consider the Maple Mafia mafia. Unless they're breaking these bones, I would hardly consider that.
I mean, this is just some based off knowledge on my head.
Just
So
dispel this real quick. The mafia is literally a gang that's just Italian, that's more organized.
Isn't that just called an organization, an activity group, activist group?
That's what a criminal organization is, my friend. They call themselves mafia because they primarily are made of Italians.
Organized group that makes money or some kind of. Is Olive Garden a mafia?
They are. How much they?
Zoli's a mafia.
No.
Watch there be some type of mafia on or cartel with what was it? Olive oil, and I actually.
Virgin or extra virgin?
I don't know.
Actually,
depends on where you're at.
Side note: what does that mean to be extra virgin olive oil? I don't know what that means.
Cue the porno music, I guess. I don't know.
And this has been bugging me for a few days, and I'm sorry really to go on this tangent, but I'm pretty sure to be virgin olive oil, it's just olives pressed.
Okay, so according to Berkeley Wellness,
slow on the draw.
There are virgin olive oils are extracted from olives solely by mechanical means without chemicals. Extra virgin olive oil is the highest grade olive oil, simply labeled virgin.
So it
has slight defects in aroma or flavor and has to meet lower chemical standards, so it is less expensive.
Back to the topic. Sorry, that was a little tangent though.
Now you know.
Knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe. Sponsor us, please.
So I guess we'll hear some more interesting weird criminal organizations then. All right, so let's see. Here's another one, the Notorious Nipple Gang.
We better have censors on this one.
Nope.
All right, so basically. Oh yeah, we're
good.
Okay, so also curse some way or down the line, so somewhere earlier.
Wait, we were cursing?
You. Literally all of them.
What are you talking about?
Anyways, go back to
so in Thailand, Thailand.
Swear to God, I'm gonna crush your head between my thighs if you
This
say it
is
again.
the guy that has maps all over his room and he cannot pronounce it.
Yeah, I'm pointing to Thailand right now.
That's Saudi Arabia.
All right, back to the notorious nipple game. So it's a bunch of sex workers. They're sex workers from Thailand.
Oh, thank you.
And what they do is they have this like, I'm gonna probably butcher this, ripenol on their nipples.
Wait, hold
and
on
then
a second. How do you spell that?
Just gonna Google it.
Oh, that looks like a chemical. That looks like something I would put in my food.
All right, they put liquid ripenol on their nipples, and then they let their marks, aka their clients, lick their nipples, and basically they will pass out. And while those guys are unconscious, they rob them.
That is genius.
Why would you? Okay.
But that's
So here's a simple solution. Don't lick their nipples. I can't believe I've actually had to say that.
No. They're sex workers. That's what they do.
I get that.
It's a service
But
they provide.
okay, so from my point of view, and I knew that, you know, this was going on, I would be like, oh,
I don't think most people knew about it.
No, thank you. I don't want to get robbed.
Then here's another interesting one. So it's called the Dinner Set Gang. And what's notable about them is they're from the 60s and 70s. I believe it looks like in America. And what they'll do is they'll rob these wealthy people who live in these large houses. And what they'll do is they'll only rob them during dinner. And they'll always have a boat getaway. And yeah, they'll just rob them like while they're like eating.
Yeah, this is
for dinner.
Nah.
This kind of
Nah,
sounds like the Wet Bandits from Home Alone. What was it? Was it wet or moist?
The what?
Because they were so stupid. That's all we got to say about that. Thank you for coming out and listening to our podcast. It really does mean the world to all of us. I have been your temporary host, Pojo.
Your co-host here, Taco.
As well as that temporary co-host, Brooklyn.
Since when are you temporary?
Because I took host for this.
For today?
For today.
Okay.
He's been kind of driving the conversation, so.
Yeah. Oh, like where are your apartment?
Live long, prosper.
You can leave now.
Yeah, get out of your apartment.
This is our temporary apartment.
Oh,
Exactly.
you all can go fuck yourselves.
Have a
Gladly.
wonderful evening, everybody. This has been Brookside Chat.